Hey guys, what's up? What's your detective here, investigating your favorite albums, and today I'm going to be doing an album review on the new Swans album, Birthing. So, American rock band Swans is back with a new album, Birthing, and this is huge. This is really huge because Swans has been one of my favorites of the last few years. Obviously, when it comes to Swans, they have been making music from the early 80s. They are pretty much veterans in the noise rock and post rock scene already, but we can't really talk about Swan's new album without mentioning the extreme catalog that they have before Birthing. Of course, we have the early era, the first era of Swans, where we have amazing albums, their early noise rock albums, and then ending off with a classic that is Soundtracks to the Blind. And then after about 15 years or so, they returned to making music, and then we are hit with this absolutely amazing trilogy of albums, The Seer, To Be Kind, and The Glowing Man from 2016. And so with The Glowing Man in 2016, I don't know why, maybe my memory is deceiving me, but I swear to God, when The Glowing Man was released, everyone thought this is going to be the last Swans album. I don't know why, but it seems as though Swans was going to announce their retirement or their disbandment after The Glowing Man. And of course, that never happened. After The Glowing Man, we have the band going to a more folky direction with Leaving Meaning. And then afterwards, they released another album 2 years ago called The Beggar, which I unfortunately did not enjoy that much, even though I thought that a bulk of the album is decent. And then, of course, just around the corner, they released a new album, Birthing. And with the release of this album, once again, Michael Gira, the frontman of the band, has announced that the band is going to end this era. Not exactly retire, but this new big sound era of Swans is going to end. And I guess the big sound of this era would be referring to these long, drawn out, monstrous tracks with meditative guitar builds, huge transcendental pieces of improv noise. From The Seer onwards to Birthing, we have been getting hit by one after another monstrous tracks that I think are some of the best music of all times. So obviously, Birthing at this point seems like the new and probably the final ending of this era of music in Swans, so it is a big deal. On top of that, Michael Gira basically said that after Birthing, he's going to retire as the Swans, as Swans producer, which means that stylistically, the band is going to be making music that is way more different after Birthing. But anyways, the new album Birthing is almost a return to form for Swans. Again, there are a lot of meditative, transcendental guitar builds. It's less folky like Leaving Meaning, but I also think it has more of a band-like quality and more versatility than The Beggar. And it's also very interesting because The Beggar also felt like it's going to be the band's last album, because The Beggar is so much about death and mortality and embracing death. It feels like the literally swan song of Swans, but somehow Birthing is about rebirth, it's about life, it's a celebration of life and afterlife, and somehow Birthing now feels even more ultimate than The Beggar. Every time you think Swans can get more ultimate, they will get more ultimate than their last ultimate album. So anyways, Birthing, I love the album cover. I love that the album is about birth. It's about having a future, and the album cover is just a black circle. There's something so ominous yet so raw about this black circle that I just absolutely love. And a bulk of the music on the album feels like leftovers from The Seer and To Be Kind. And while that may come off like a huge criticism, man, I love The Seer and To Be Kind. So honestly, I ain't complaining. Now, the album opens off with The Healers, which is a sleepy 21-minute opener, a very humble, quiet opening for the album that sort of builds up and up and up. This track grew on me a lot. I feel like I love it more and more every time I listen to it. There's something so foreboding and atmospheric about this track, like a religious chant. Of course, you have Michael Giroir's very powerful vocals, his yodeling, and then we have the sunburnt background vocals. And then the rest of the track becomes this dusty, loose post-rock rager, something that we've heard before. But then we are hit with the lyrics, which are just incredibly interesting. The lyrics on this track are about being an overcaring mother. We have lyrics like, I break your bones to feed our daughter. In buried dreams, I sift the powder. Inside your throat, I hide her thunder. I killed the daughter in my own mother. Now I'm the mother going under. Just incredibly visceral track. Visceral words about motherhood and literally sacrificing yourself and giving it to the next generation. In many ways, it reminds me of the Japanese manga Blood on the Tracks. Check that one out. The second track here is called I Am a Tower. It is the lead-up single to the album, and honestly, I didn't like the song that much at first, and even now, I don't like it that much either. I don't think it's terrible. I think it's far from terrible, but I think it just pales in comparison with the rest of the track list. For some reason, this track is apparently inspired by a weird vision of a threesome involving Donald Trump, which is so grotesque I can't even bear to think about, but this track is very much a commentary on authoritarianism, on dictatorships, but the most surprising element of this track is actually the second half, because it sort of turns into this very straightforward post-rock track with 4/4 drums, and it's so conventional it's almost weird for Swans to do something like this. Now we have the title track with the big, bold guitar hits, which are genuinely eye-opening and blissful and spacey, paired with these weird, dizzying, descending piano licks that I really like. But then we have the ending of the album, where we have an ominous, sort of this female vocal announcer, pay attention, mother, fucker. And then it just explodes into this abrasive, jagged, drum slamming ending that just kind of makes the track feel conclusive in a way. Now, following that, Red Yellow is the shortest track on the album at only about 6 minutes long, and for me, it sounds like The Seer returns, but even better. It's very sinister, very strange, and it's a track about pregnancy, but it's portrayed in a lustful yet grotesque way. We have wailing tones, groovy drums, so groovy, it's immaculate, and mumbly background vocals, which makes this track such a weird detour. Following that, Guardian Spirit, unfortunately, I think is the most generic track on the album. Again, it just feels like a leftover from To Be Kind, but I have to admit, vocally, Michael Giroir went crazy on this track. The vocals are so intense, it's honestly carrying the track almost. The penultimate track here is called The Merge, and it is a very fascinating track because it has all these interesting electronic experimentation. And I honestly think a lot of the experimentation on this track works out really well. It just provides a new flavor and a new angle to this kind of Swans music. We have rough bass guitars and meticulous drumsticks slamming, but it wouldn't be long until we begin to be overwhelmed by out of control, freakish saxophones and a child counting from 1 to 10 in German. Ein, zwei, drei, you know the drill. Now, the album ends off with Rope Away, which is holy shit, what a beautiful ending to the album. It is heavenly, it is equally painful. And without looking into it too much, you can already tell that this track is about the afterlife, is about the great beyond. It's about life after death. And it is a 19-minute track where the first 14 minutes is just beautiful blossoming of warmth and joy. And it's genuinely amazing. And then crossing over to the 15th minute mark, we have more of a lyrical moment where Michael Gira sort of questions passing away. You know, where has these friends gone? Where has Alice gone? And where has William gone? And where has poor Catherine gone? And where has Simon gone? To some place inside or some place far beyond? Oh, where have they all gone? And there's just something about these lyrics that just feels almost confused and innocent. It's like a child asking a parent, like, where are these people now? Where's uncle? I haven't seen him for so long. Where is grandpa? Where's grandma? And sort of this confusion, this naivete in the face of death. You are nothing but a young child. Yet it's also coming from a very mature place of understanding perhaps there is more after death. Anyways, it is a beautiful way to end off the album, and I honestly think this is the best album they have released since The Glowing Man. It just gets better and better every time I listen to it. Sure, a lot of the tracks here feel like, again, leftovers or, you know, a more watered down version of whatever they had in the 2010s, but I still think this album worked really well on so many levels. So yeah, I'm giving the new Swans album, Birthing, a decent 8 out of 10. So have a listen to the new Swans album. Comments below, let me know, subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.